Today, we will be talking about a classic Disney character, one of the most recognizable villains of movie history that has, in fact, entered for the American Film Institute's list of one of the 100 greatest screen characters featured in the villain category at number 39. Her origin story is like a horror story that goes from being expelled from school to morally abusing her husband and drowning dogs and cats. Did you know that at some point in her life this character got white and green hair? If all this doesn't explain evil, I don't know what does. We're of course talking about Cruella de Vil, the devilish fur lover that wishes nothing more than to have a long jacket made entirely of Dalmatian puppies. But first, please, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of the new videos. Let's go! The 101 Dalmatians was originally published in the year of 1956 by the English author Dodie Smith, and as many people know, tells the story about the kidnapping of a family of Dalmatian puppies with the only purpose to use them to make a one-of-a-kind fur coat. It was originally serialized in Women's Day as the Great Dog Robbery, and details the events of two Dalmatians named Pongo and Mrs. as they rescue their puppies from a fur farm. There's also a 1967 sequel titled The Starlight Barking that continues the story right after the first one. Cruella appears on the two novels, and today we'll be diving into the true origins of Cruella, exploring her very messed up background to say the least. As mentioned before, the author of the source material was an English writer named Dodie Gladys Smith, born in Lancashire, England on May 3, 1869, and the only child of Ernest and Ella Smith. She was one of the most successful female dramatists of her generation, with another very famous publication in the addition to Dalmatians, this time aimed to a young adult audience. The novel is called I Capture the Castle and was already adapted into a movie starring Henry Cavill back in 2003. Dodie Smith came to her love of theater early in life, with many of her family members either enthusiasts or amateurs in that realm. She studied in London, where later explored a short career in acting before becoming a successful playwright and novelist. After her father passed away, Dodie and her mother Ella moved in with her grandparents William and Margaret Ferber. She credits her theater-loving grandfather in her autobiography, Look Back with Love, as one of the reasons she became a playwright. At age 10, Dodie wrote her first play and began acting in small roles during her teen years. When Dodie was 14, she moved to London and attended St. Paul's Girls' School, and by the age of 14, she went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. But her greatest creation has got to be the one and only Cruella de Vil. The actual name origin is very well fitted for the character, as Cruella is a pun word to the word cruel, and de Vil means literally devil. The name de Vil is also an allusion to Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1897, in which there's a purchaser of a house in Piccadilly, London, known as a foreign nobleman, Count de Vil. Count de Vil, an alias for Count Dracula himself. It is also believed that the inspiration for the name began in 1939, when Dodie Smith purchased a new Rolls-Royce 25x30 Sedanka de Vil motor car in which she and her pet Dalmatian Pongo frequently traveled, which also formed the basis of the cartoon imagery of Cruella's own motor car. In order to create the personality of Cruella, author Dodie Smith got inspired by the actress Tallulah Bankhead. Bankhead was born and raised in Jasper, Alabama, and began her career during the silent film era, with some of her earliest work in 1918. She later found fame on the London theater stage before returning to America in the early 1930s to pursue an acting career in Hollywood. She continued her stage and screen career until shortly before her death on December 12, 1968. Some of Bankhead's most acclaimed roles include Devil in the Deep, Alfred Hitchcock's Lifeboat, and her role as the Black Widow on the Batman television series. Smith injected her personality into Cruella by making an evil parody of the actress. Her first visual appearance was in the original press of the book 101 Dalmatians, created by the twin sisters Janet and Anne Graham Johnstone. This was the first important book they've worked on, and it was an immediate success, captivating parents and children alike. The twins' further success with later Smith's book, The Starlight Barking and The Midnight Kittens, made them the most widely recognized illustrators of children's books in England at the time. Their business association developed into an enduring friendship until Smith died in November 1990. In the original story, Cruella is depicted as a pampered and glamorous London heiress who has an acquaintance with the owner of the Dalmatian puppies from school. Though it is mentioned that they were not friends, she was a menacing student with black and white braids and was expelled for drinking ink. Yes, ink. Maybe it's from here that ABC's Once Upon a Time creators got inspiration to create their version of the character. However, she appears to be on friendlier terms with Miss Dearly when they encounter each other at the beginning of the novel. before Cruella steals Dearly's Dalmatian puppies, having noted that they would make enchanting fur coats and would go nice with her car and black and white hair. The 101 Dalmatians describes Cruella as the last of her prosperous and notorious family, who appears wealthy but is in fact heavily in debt. She is married to a furrier, whose name is never mentioned, and it appears that she married him solely due to his occupation rather than because she loved him. What her married name is, Cruella affirms that in contrast to the usual patriarchal custom, she has made her husband adopt her surname as his own, in an effort to carry on her family name. She and her husband have no children. Cruella is portrayed as the tyrannical figure in the marriage, and her husband as a compliant, subservient man who rarely speaks and obeys his wife entirely. He supplies Cruella with extravagances, such as the white mink cloak she often wears with skin-tight satin gowns, and ropes of jewels in contrasting colors, such as a black dress with ropes of pearls or a green dress with ropes of rubies. Cruella's car is black and white striped, which Mr. Dearly describes as a moving zebra crossing, and she insists on sounding what she considers the loudest horn in all of London. All of Cruella's food is strangely colored and tastes strongly of pepper. When Mr. Dearly comments she might find her mink cloak too warm for a summer's evening, Cruella laughs that she never finds anything too warm. She constantly strokes a roaring fire and complains of being cold despite the unbearable heat. Her flat is portrayed as a luxurious version of hell, with all the rooms being made of marble and colored garishly in green, red, or black. Her guests also meet her abused white Persian cat from whom Cruella admits she detests and only keeps around because of the cat's value. At first, Cruella expresses her sinister interest in the Dalmatians, but upon seeing the spotless skins of the newborn puppies, she is revolted and offers to have them drowned at once. Her way of getting rid of animals she views as worthless, as she has drowned dozens of her own cat's kittens. When she meets the puppies again, now grown, she changes her mind and starts to picture herself on a coat made of their spotted fur. She buys up all the Dalmatians she can find and has her henchmen kidnap the puppies of the Dearlys for fur coats, though they all escape. She suggests locking them in a room without food, so they would be forced to eat each other. Eat each other! Why doesn't she go through with this heinous plan, you might ask? Because it would take too long. All the puppies she abducts finally escape, and with Cruella's cat they destroy her collection of coats. But most of the furs were not yet paid off, and the DeVilles flee England to get away from their debts.
Cruella DeVille.
Here's a fact the original Disney animated children's film wisely left out. According to Smith's telling, Hell's Hall, the large Suffolk manor, where the puppies are kept after being kidnapped, has always been property of the DeVille family. It was originally owned by a man believed by villagers to be a serial killer, loosely implied to be Cruella's grandfather. The fearsome ancestor terrified locals who heard screaming coming from his home late at night. It's explained that the town believed this man captured victims whom he would later torture and kill at Hell Hall. Cruella reclaims the house at the time of the events in the 101 Dalmatians. So, what do you think of the true origins of the movie? Cruella sure had a messed up life. If you liked this origin, please don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and like the video, because there are much more coming, including Marvel stuff. Thanks again, and till next time!